Jitters about the economy, as you know. Wall Street taking everybody on a roller coaster ride last week. Fears of a potential double-dip recession on the horizon. So how does this change the landscape of 2012? The executive director of Public Notice is Gretchen Hamill, and Ryan Clayton is a Democratic campaign consultant and founder of www.100proofpolitics.com. I thought 40 proof it could be the strongest. Gretchen, let me start with you. If we get a recession, if we get a double dip, is it curtains for the president's reelection?
Oh, I think it's going to be more than the president that's in trouble. I think it's Republicans and Democrats alike. If this economy continues to lag, we will see another change election like we have seen the past two election cycles.
But people want something done. I mean, they hear the promises. They saw the stimulus package. They saw the plan that was passed just a few weeks ago. And they want action. They want results.
They do. They want action. They want results. They want Congress to work together, Republicans and Democrats, to actually produce some economic policies that get businesses investing again. Right now, you have businesses holding on to a lot of cash, more cash than they've held on to in decades, and that is because of the uncertainty. They need to be investing those dollars in their companies, and they actually need to be hiring people. But until Washington can restore certainty and put economic policies in place that do that, we will continue to have an economy that lags.
Well, what's it going to take for Washington to restore certainty? Gretchen.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I think, it will take them putting together some policies to actually reducing spending, to not talking about a lot of different tax increases that they are talking about. Now, I think revenue should be on the table. There are a lot of tax loopholes that we can look at and close. But they should also look at the free trade agreements. They need to pass those free trade agreements so American businesses can actually sell their goods and products to other countries outside this border without tariffs.
Ryan, what are the chances of that all happening?
Well, look, American voters know who's to blame for the Tea Party recession, and they're never going to forget who held our economy hostage with the debt ceiling crisis. And Washington politicians like Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner, Representative Eric Cantor, and Representative Paul Ryan, they played politics with played politics just to make a point. And what they did was they crashed our economy. And now they're going to be held accountable for that because American voters will never forget who's responsible. Well, they'll never forgive them for it.
Ryan,
they said they blame the president.
Rhetoric.
They blame President Obama that he's ultimately responsible because he's the man in the Oval Office.
Well, what President Obama did was stand up to the extreme elements in the Republican Party, and he struck a bipartisan compromise. And what he needs to do now is focus on putting Americans back to work and rebuilding the middle class. Because the only way we're going to fix our deficit problems is by putting Americans back to work with a jobs program.
And the chances of that jobs program actually passing?
I think if Republicans in the House decided to start working with the president rather than against him and stop catering to the extreme elements in the party and playing with the fire of the Tea Party caucus, we're all going to keep getting burned if they keep doing that. What they need to do is silence the extremists in the Republican caucus and say, look, we got to put Americans back to work. And like Gretchen said, we have to work together, Republicans and Democrats and independents, to accomplish that.
All right, Gretchen, fire of the Tea Party caucus. There's some explosive words. Others say it's the Tea Party that's trying to deal with the debt.
Ryan always uses that rhetoric that drives that wedge between Republicans and Democrats, and his comments are just unhelpful. They are fueling the fire of what is actually going on right now in Washington and not doing anything to help have a constructive conversation. He says that he wants a constructive conversation, but then he uses those words against the Tea Party and everyone else. The Tea Party, he should do PR for them. But the Tea Party actually does raise some issues. But the issues that they raise are concerns across the board with all Americans. If you talk about the deficit, Democrats, Republicans, independents across the board are concerned with it. It's not just a Tea Party issue.
All right, and finally, you've got the president with his speech after he returns from his vacation. Ryan, what do you expect he will say? What type of proposals can he have to get America back to work?
Well, instead of listening to the Tea Party extremists, I hope that he's listening to people like Warren Buffett, who's a successful investor. And what he says is you got to raise revenue to run a government. And what we need to do is take the money from Wall Street that they've hoarded, and we need to take that close those tax loopholes, start taxing the rich, and make them pay their fair share, just like everybody else.
What's the rich?
Take that money, put it directly into a jobs
What number's the
program.
rich? What's your number for rich?
The top 2% of Americans pay less taxes than the rest of us combined. And what needs to happen is what Warren Buffett says is he pays less money than his secretary does, and he's a multi-billionaire. Is that fair? Is that fairness in America? I don't think most Americans think it is.
All right, that'll have to be the last word on this debate, and we'll see what the president says in a few weeks in September. Gretchen, Hamill, and Ryan Clayton, thanks so much, as always.
Thanks for having us.